Hello everybody, it is Friday and today we are going over a couple rights that we have under the United States Constitution. We're looking today at a Fifth Amendment right and then also a Sixth Amendment right. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with these, or at least you've heard of them, and typically when they come up it's called the Miranda warning or the Miranda rights. An officer will read you off your rights and it's they'll say you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights as I have read them to you? They will then ask you if you wish to waive these rights. You'll say, yes, I understand my rights. They'll then ask you, do you wish to waive these rights? And that's where phrase number one comes in. Phrase number one, you should be saying, no, I am not waiving my rights. And these rights under the Fifth Amendment come from the right to not incriminate yourself, the right to remain silent and not testify against oneself to a government agent. You don't have to incriminate yourself, okay? So that goes along with pleading the Fifth, and we talked about those some examples a couple weeks ago. So go back on the Facebook page and watch that video, pleading the Fifth. But really all these videos that we're talking about, or all these rights I should say that we're talking about in these videos, they go hand in hand with one another, and they're really meant for one scenario that you're in. You're gonna probably use a lot of these rights or these phrases that I'm teaching you in a scenario that you're in. So back to today, we're talking about the Sixth Amendment now. The Sixth Amendment is the right to counsel, the right to have an attorney present and represent you. That might be at a lineup during police custodial interrogation or investigation. And typically the Miranda rights are read when you are being arrested, but not necessarily. If you're under a custodial interrogation, you're not free to leave and the police are really grilling you, you can ask for an attorney and to be quiet or remain silent. So phrase number one is I'm not waiving my rights. Now phrase number two is when they continue to ask you questions or whatever, you're gonna say I'm going to remain silent and I want my attorney. Most people might think that just remaining silent is invoking the right. That's not invoking the right. You need to physically say, I'm going to remain silent and I want my attorney. And then also something you should be aware of is that just saying I'm going to remain silent, the police can still ask you questions if you just say that. But the ultimate trump card, the ultimate play is when you say, I'm going to remain silent and I want my attorney. When you say I want my attorney, the police have to stop questioning you. They're not allowed to continue their investigation at that point. So I want you guys to remember that, and please hear me on this. There are plenty of times where people think that I'll just talk to the police and it'll be fine. Remember in other videos that we talked about, police, when they question you, there's always a motive behind their question. You should just assume that. And how many times have I seen, or you've seen maybe on shows, that police question you and people still get charged with something, and you need to be aware of that. That's why we have these rights, to protect us. So, and it's not, these aren't like crazy rights that you're invoking when you think that someone's been murdered or they're questioning you about being a bank robbery or something like that. Like it's not like these crazy crimes. These are simple things like getting pulled over and being arrested for whatever it is, or violating an order under the curfew law or whatever, the executive order or whatever. These rights still apply to you at that point. So and then with that in mind, that means you also need to have an attorney's phone number memorized, or at the very least give your mom, your dad, your wife, your boyfriend your attorney's phone number, 248-702-5282. That is my number if you want to use my number and give that to a trusted family member, so that when you call them from the interrogation room or the police station, you can say, hey, call my attorney. I need him at X, Y, and Z police station. And that way you have an attorney coming towards your spot or your location for that investigation. So keep that in mind, and we will see you guys next time.